just finished a car protest at a rally staging at Arthur Park for immigrant rights and to shut down Core Civic, who runs the detention center, Torrance County Detention Facility. And Core Civic has horrible, inhumane conditions in that facility. We heard stories from folks who, their real life experience inside that detention center, attorneys who have visited, who've been working from the New Mexico Immigration Law Center. They have been there. They have witnessed it for themselves. Raw sewage, moldy food, water being turned off for days and days. Of course, New Mexico is in a drought. And so Estancia sometimes also has a drought. And so for this facility to be here when there's no water and the sewer system, the infrastructure is poor and deplorable. So we were out here, just a bunch of us protesting and standing in solidarity with those men who are being detained inside that facility. And so I'm now heading back home. Had an interesting conversation that I'll talk about later on a podcast of do we sacrifice different groups of people for so that some can have rights, etc. And so we're willing to sacrifice some people, groups of people for that. And so I would like to suggest to those out there in social media land that it's not an either or. We don't have to say in order to have rights for whatever demographics, that it's okay for us to be okay with genocide, or for black people to be beat up by the police, or for queer folks to be sacrificed so that I can have my veterans right or my Social Security, right? That is not really the question. So do we or do we not believe fundamentally that humans have rights to exist, and they have the right to live and have a place to live, and to have water, and to have food, and to have safety, and to not be harassed, and to not be targeted, and have unfair, unjust things happen to them? Do we agree on that or not? Because what I think I hear is that, you guys are going to have to wait, right? You guys are going to, so how long do black people have to wait before police don't kill us? And so as I was suggesting to this one person that, no, I did not vote for Kamala Harris, because as we heard today from the law attorneys, the immigrant attorneys, this has been going on across, Clinton, Obama, Bush. It's not just a Republican or Democrat thing. Both parties, both major political parties, have been complicit in the deplorable way that immigrants have been treated in this country. It is not about either party. It's about the United States of America. Who are we? Who do we want to be as a country? We started, right, as a refuge for pilgrims who came over here allegedly for religious freedoms, and they landed on somebody else's land. There were people here, indigenous people were here when they arrived. It was not empty. There is no manifest destiny that says that one group of people get to live and the others don't, and that manifest destiny is still manifesting itself in the ideology that people are saying is that they're okay with these people experiencing injustice as long as their personal or their families' interests are met. And I don't accept that at all. So we're out here today, and I came out here today from Albuquerque in solidarity with those folks, those men who are being detained unlawfully in most cases in that detention center, and who have not been told what their status of their cases are. They have no access sometimes to attorneys. As I said, the conditions are deplorable. As we heard today from those who have been in that facility, who are still in that facility, that it is deplorable. And it is in New Mexico. And so New Mexicans have an opportunity to shut down Torrance County, get CoreCivics out of New Mexico. I have heard about CoreCivics and the way that they run facilities for a decade at least. I do remember hearing about them back in 2010 time. I just was not paying attention, is my problem, and that I have not been, I've not done my due diligence in learning about what is happening in New Mexico in terms of private prisons, in terms of detention centers. And so this was an opportunity, once again, they've met out here many different times, but this time again, to learn that CoreCivic is, their contract is up for a vote at the end of this month. We can put pressure on Torrance County so that CoreCivic, if the Torrance County commissioners vote for extending CoreCivic's contract, that we can let those folks know that that's not what New Mexico wants or is about, right? They get state taxes, they get federal monies, and so we don't have to pay for CoreCivic to be at Torrance County if Torrance County commissioners, which they probably will, vote for CoreCivics. Okay, well then we're boycotting, right? And so the one commissioner who's like, I just voted, my private and my political life should be separate. No, who you are is that you want to run a pumpkin patch and you want us all to come out there and support you personally, but you don't have any concern about the families of those men who are being detained. What about their finances? What about their personal lives and their personal business? You don't want your personal life involved in your politics? Then don't be a politician and don't vote for things that harm the community. So the pumpkin patch out there in Torrance County, boycott the hell out of that. I hope not one teacher, not one school goes to visit on a field trip. Torrance County does need an alternative source of income for all those who work out there at that detention facility, but Torrance County can do that, and those of us in New Mexico, we can also help bring some other industry out here that is not as harmful and doesn't violate people's human rights. So I highly, highly encourage folks to pay attention, and then at the state legislature, the next 30-day session that is going to be happening in New Mexico, and it is the dumbest thing ever. Do you know why New Mexico is the only state that does not have a full-time legislature? Yeah, pretty much because of oil and gas and all of these politicians that are in their pockets, right? So we don't have a legislature that goes all year round so that things as they occur, or that we could even be proactive, right? They have to call these special sessions reactively to what is going on, whereas if we had an ongoing, long, all year long with little breaks, right, legislature, and they were working for us. The other thing is that these people make most of their money, right, because we don't have a legislature that's paid. They are only paid for room and board and their meals when they're in session. They don't get paid, very much other than that. They have monies that they can set aside, right, and use for capital outlay, etc., that each legislature is given for their constituents in their districts. But we don't have a full-time legislature in New Mexico. I believe that most of our issues that we have, CYFD, public education, all of these things could be addressed if we had a full-time legislature. But these people, right, attorneys, etc., they're making their money doing other stuff. And so they can't be bothered to do the people's work, because that would mean they'd have a loss of income from their personal whatever they are doing. So we need to vote in, vote out. They vote out people who are not truly working on our behalf, and we need to vote in people who are willing to be year-round, who are willing to dedicate their time and energy and efforts to New Mexicans and to their constituents. So I would say part of the problem of why we have all these private detention centers, privately run, private businesses in public facilities, right? Torrance County Detention Facility was built with taxpayer money. CoreCivic is a private company, and they have the contract for that facility. They can be kicked out, and the facility can be shut down. It needs to be shut down, and because it is deplorable, the conditions are deplorable. It's over overcrowded. People have died in that facility. 20 years ago, people have been dying in that facility. And so I highly, again, encourage everyone to address their Congress peoples, the U.S. Congress. That would be Heinrich, Ben Ray Lujan, Stansberry, Fernandez, and Gabe Vasquez, who is he doesn't represent me. He represents my district. He doesn't represent my interests. I'm not voting for him. Didn't vote for him last time. Of course, Yvette Harrell is just about the same. They're both equally shady and despicable. Somebody else needs to run, and it doesn't have to be a Democrat or Republican. Are there no independents out there or any other viable candidate? And as we've seen in the Albuquerque races, you don't need one of these political parties in order to get your name out there and to get your message out. You can do a grassroots type thing. Do not let these parties make you believe that if you don't have their support, that you're not going to get elected. That is not true at all. That is a myth, and they're just trying to control. And so both parties have this circle the wagons. You're either with us or you're not with us. And if you don't vote like we tell you to, then you're not going to get support. We're going to primary you, all of that kind of stuff. The Republicans do it, the Democrats do it. And so in this state where it's growing, that neither party has the majority in this state. And the independents, DTS, is what it's called, decline to state is how they word it in New Mexico. So independent voters, decline to state voters are growing. There are more and more and more of us, and neither party can win without us. And so those of us who decline to state need to be very clear with all these parties that they need to put candidates forward that represent the ideals we have as a people. And so those ideals should be based on the Constitution and on the Bill of Rights, which means, again, circling back, if I could use that phrase that's so Gen Z-ish, circling back, we don't have to sacrifice anyone so that we can all get what we need. Everybody can eat. Everybody can have food. Everybody can have a home. Everybody can have safety and liberty and love. And we can all work and live and play in places that are safe if we would all unite together and agree that we don't have to sacrifice one group so another group can have what they want. We're done with that, okay? We've had 400 years of that, and we're no longer willing to tolerate that. So Democratic Party, Republican Party, you need to understand, you are not getting into office in this state anymore if you are not going to fight for all of us. All of us is who you all represent. All of us.